Welcome in. Please, just take a moment to settle in and get comfortable. Today, we're going to step away from the endless noise and rush of the modern world to look at something much more profound. We're going to explore a narrative explainer that acts as a mirror, really, reflecting the very best, and sadly, sometimes the very worst of our society. These aren't just a sequence of events we're looking at today. They're chapters in a deeply moving lesson about human dignity. It's a lesson that, honestly, I think we all desperately need to hear in times like these. So let's take this journey together.
I want you to imagine the scene for a moment. Picture a bustling school cafeteria. It's filled with that loud, joyful chatter of students, parents, and teachers just going about their day. It's supposed to be this wonderful place of nourishment, of safety, and of community, right? But suddenly, out of nowhere, the entire room falls dead silent. The school principal is standing right in the center of the room, and he's shouting. He's looking down at an elderly, frail, and very clearly hungry man named Samuel. And right there, in front of the entire community, the principal humiliates him. He aggressively demands that Samuel leave the premises immediately. It's just this shocking display of cruelty, a total heartbreaking lack of basic human empathy. You can almost feel the uncomfortable tension in the room, can't you? The quiet, heavy judgments being passed by every single person watching this unfold.
So let's delve into this unjust school cafeteria and take a closer look at a father's incredibly difficult choice.
Standing right there in that crowd is Michael. He's a struggling father doing his best to make ends meet. He has literally just spent the very last of his money, his final few coins, to buy a simple lunchbox to take home to his young son, Lucas. Michael watches this hungry stranger, Samuel, being publicly shamed, and you know what he does? He doesn't say a single word, he doesn't cause a scene, he simply walks over and gently places his son's lunchbox down right in front of the old man. It's this silent, incredibly beautiful offering. But instead of understanding this act of profound grace, the crowd actually laughs. They mock him. The principal looks at Michael with pure disdain and sneers, "You can't even feed your own child." Imagine how that must have stung.
That brings us to a father's silent sacrifice, where we see what true dignity looks like in the face of profound humiliation.
In that moment, time just seems to stop. Let's actually walk through this timeline together, because the pacing here is absolutely crucial. Minute 1. The principal, furious that his authority is being quietly challenged by Michael's kindness, intentionally lashes out. He violently knocks the lunchbox right onto the floor. The precious food spills everywhere. Then, minute 2. An agonizing, heavy silence washes over the entire room. Everyone is just holding their breath, waiting for Michael to explode, to yell, to fight back against this supreme, unwarranted arrogance. But then, minute 3, Michael simply drops to his knees. He bends down and quietly cleans up the mess. He doesn't argue, he doesn't raise his voice. He absorbs the world's absolute cruelty with an unshakable grace. It really asks us a difficult question, doesn't it? How often do we judge someone's worth based entirely on their current economic status?
But of course, the story doesn't end there. Now we have to confront the danger of partial truths in our digital age of deception.
While Michael was silently cleaning up that food, a parent in the crowd pulled out their smartphone and started recording. But here's the catch. They didn't share the whole truth. On one side, we have this deceptively edited video, which was cut specifically to show only Michael standing confrontationally in front of Samuel. It was deliberately engineered to make Michael look like the aggressor who was causing a scene. On the other side, we know the unedited reality, right? His silent, beautiful sacrifice. But society just loves a quick outrage, doesn't it? That manipulated video went viral within the community like wildfire, and because of it, Michael was unjustly suspended from his job. It is honestly terrifying how easily the truth can be distorted, completely stripped of context, and weaponized today. And the consequences of this digital deception, they are devastatingly real. The rumors trickle down, and eventually the news reaches Michael's innocent young son, Lucas. Lucas hears the whispers in the neighborhood. He realizes his father might completely lose his livelihood. Try to imagine the heavy emotional toll this takes on a family. They were already struggling so much. We know Michael spent his very last pennies on that spilled lunchbox, and now, because of a lie, they are staring down the barrel of complete ruin. The sheer injustice of it just makes your heart ache for them.
So, I want to pause here for just a moment. I want to ask you a question directly. Who do you truly believe Samuel is? The hungry, frail old man who inadvertently started this entire chain of events? Take a second and just think about it. Form a picture in your mind. Because, as you're about to see, absolutely nothing in this story is exactly as it appears. Which leads us to our next section, the hidden camera revelation, where the truth finally comes to light.
Enter a woman named Margaret. Margaret is an official at the school, and she firmly refuses to just accept this viral video at face value. She knows there has to be more to the story. So she goes in and pulls the school's official security cameras to review the full, unedited tape. And there it is, clear as day. The principal's cruel actions are completely exposed for what they really were. The intentional spilling of the food, Michael's quiet, dignified cleanup. But then, Margaret sees something else. She looks closely at the old man on the screen, and Samuel's true identity is uncovered. Prepare yourselves for this. Samuel is not just some wandering stranger. Samuel is actually Margaret's own father. He is a highly wealthy, influential man who Margaret had secretly asked to disguise himself. Why on earth would they do that? Well, to secretly test the school's support program for poor students. He wanted to see with his very own eyes how the most vulnerable members of society were truly being treated when nobody thought anyone important was watching.
Now let's explore the justice and new beginnings that followed, as karmic justice is wonderfully served.
The complete, unedited security footage is immediately released to the public, and like sunlight clearing out the shadows, the truth completely washes away the lies. That cruel, arrogant principal is rightfully fired right there on the spot. But the most beautiful part of this whole situation is what happens to Michael. Margaret and Samuel recognize the deep, unwavering moral integrity of this humble father. Michael isn't just cleared of those awful false charges, he is offered a completely new path in life. He is officially appointed as the Director of Student Community Support. He is now the man entirely in charge of the free meal program for disadvantaged students. I mean, just think about the poetic justice in that for a moment. The very man who gave away his absolute last meal is now the one in charge of feeding everyone.
I want you to try and picture this final interaction because it is just incredibly moving. Michael brings his son Lucas in to meet Margaret and Samuel. Little Lucas, who has clearly learned everything about kindness and generosity from watching his father, walks right up to the wealthy old man. And what does he do? He shares his very last cookie with him. Overwhelmed with emotion at the purity of this gesture, Samuel pulls the young boy into a deep, loving embrace. And Margaret just stands there watching, tears of absolute gratitude streaming down her face. It is a moment of pure, beautiful, karmic restoration. It proves that goodness still exists.
Which brings us to the core of this explainer, the true meaning of wealth, and an invaluable lesson for us all.
Let's redefine a word that we use every single day: wealth. As we've seen today, wealth is not a measure of the money sitting in your bank account. It's not the fancy car you drive or the high-ranking status you might hold in society. True wealth, the kind that actually matters, is an abundance of moral richness. It's having deep compassion for others. It is maintaining your basic human dignity when the entire world around you is being utterly undignified. Michael was financially the poorest man in that cafeteria that day, but looking back, he was undeniably the wealthiest man in the room in his soul. This is my advice, a gentle lesson for all of us, especially as we gather more years and wisdom in this life. We absolutely must remember to look far beyond superficial appearances. We must strive to treat one another with basic human kindness, because you never know who you are really talking to.
I want to leave you with this final, unforgettable thought from our explainer today. Sometimes the richest people are not those who own the school, but those who never let another person go hungry. I'd love for you to just think about that as you go about the rest of your day. Ask yourself, who are the truly wealthy people in your community? And more importantly, how can you be one of them? Thank you so much for walking through this profound story with me. Until next time, stay curious and always choose to be kind.